Moving on to the next question for for just the presidential candidates, excuse me. How are you, as the CSU President, going to promote unity among student organizations throughout the campus? And this question was submitted by Neil Badarai, the IRHG President, and we'll be starting with Mr. Hare. Did you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, can you please?
Sure. How are you, as CSU President, going to promote unity among student organizations throughout the campus? Excuse me.
That's a very good question. Well, there's a lot of student organizations on campus, and we need to get them sitting together at the same table and discussing what we can all be doing to work together. I went to IRHG last night, and I saw a lot of dedicated leaders there. There's a lot of people on campus who are willing to work to make things better. I want to get things going, like having representatives go to those meetings. I want to be personally going to those meetings as well. I want to send emails. I don't want people to have to try and find me or try and get in touch with me as president. I'm going to be very available. One example that I think would be great for CSU to adopt to get more organizations talking is to sort of make a multicultural day. Creighton University uses this. Every May they have a multicultural summit where they bring together a lot of organizations. I think we can employ something like this. There's a lot of multicultural organizations on campus, and they're all working towards a common goal. Why can't we get them all sitting at the same table and working together to accomplish something? That's just one example. Another one, recycling. Last year, I was one of the people who got recycling on campus. I think we need to continue to bring student organizations to the table and work as a network. We don't need to try and push it on one organization or make it CSU's responsibility for recycling. Sustainability is an issue that every student should be worried about. And we need to make sure that everyone is coming to that same email groups, the same conferences, that sort of stuff, and everyone's giving their input, and CSU can use that and use our role to take what you're saying and take it to the administration and effect change that way.
Thank you. Mr. Miskivens.
CSU exists to promote the educational and cultural environment, improve the educational and cultural experience on campus. And we do that directly through funding student organizations and allowing them to bring their diverse programs onto campus for all of us to see. And so it's really breaking down the barriers that student organizations have to go through. There are necessary policies that are in place for student organizations to receive funding that CSU has to follow. However, I feel that the task is definitely daunting, and so taking that down so it's easier to apply for funding and receive funding for student organizations so that they can bring their events to campus easier. And again, that decreases the rollover that we have from year to year, and will improve the environment on campus. And a lot of these are already in the works from last year. It was an idea that we've thrown around about that will happen, a student leader retreat where student leaders from across campus will be able to come together to really throw ideas around on how we can work together for us, for the students. And so that'll be something to look forward to. Also, there's been a diversity cabinet or diversity committee that has been talked about from last year that can do the same thing with the multicultural organizations on campus and really bring everyone together to improve the environment.
Thank you, Mr. Miskivens. Moving on to the next question from Natalie German, the Arts and Science President. This is for all candidates. What experiences have you had that demonstrate your ability to lead students from all Creightons colleges? Examples, Arts and Science, CoBA, Graduate School, etc. And we'll start with Mr. Rich.
When it comes to this question, I look at a couple of things. I look, first of all, at my experience within CSU. And as I said, while I've only been in CSU as a representative for 1 year, during that time I did chair 2 committees. Both committees that I served on had a representative from, the first committee I served on had a representative from every school working with us. And on that committee, which was the marketing committee, we undertook a rather large task that hasn't really been done by the marketing committees before that. Before, marketing committees had pretty much been the committee that you went on if you really didn't want to do all that much. They marketed events when they came, but really, frankly, they didn't have all that much to do. As the marketing committee chair, I sat down with the committee and with the representatives from each of our colleges and asked them, what can we do to better market CSU as a whole and to better increase the communication with CSU and its constituency as a whole? And we undertook a task in which every member of my committee, once again, members from every college on our campus, played an integral role in forming a campaign known as CSU for You. Basically, it shaped the premise for what turned into some of the main points in the strategic plan that was laid out by the Strategic Planning Committee, as well as shaping the premise that formed our newly formed committee, which I'm also the chair of, the Constituent Services Committee. And within that time, I found that...
Thank you, Mr. Rich. Mr. Hare?
This question touches a lot on my experience, and I guess I'll just start by saying that one of the most important experiences I've had as a leader on campus has been within Interfraternity Council, Vice President of Programming. If I can't lead that organization who has fraternities and sororities who don't necessarily get along all the time and are always kind of at each other's throats, if I can make that a cohesive organization, and if I can make them have an effective Greek Unity Week, Lip Sync, and Greek Week, and serve them as an executive and bring all of their opinions together, keeping my role as a member of my fraternity on the side while I serve as that executive, then I don't know what other experience, maybe besides my experience as CSU representative, that would propel me towards working to break down barriers between different organizations. I've had a lot of experiences on campus. I've been a part of Creighton admissions office. I've been a telestar there. I was an admissions ambassador. I was in freshman leadership program. I went on a spring break service trip. I do 10 hours of community service for the Red Cross here in Omaha. Let's see, what else? I play 4 or 5 different intramural sports. I mean, there are a lot of things that I do on campus. I'm not the sort of person that you're going to have to go seek out. I'm there. I know what the students are experiencing. I know what the different colleges are interested in. I've seen it over my past 2 years within CSU. I'm prepared to use those experiences that I've had to bring many people together and work towards a common goal.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Mr. Miskimmons.
Well, one of the many advantages of being an executive on Creighton Students Union from last year is the ability to work directly with the cabinet, which is all presidents of all schools and colleges, undergraduate and professional. And we can't forget our professional friends across the street and down the mall. And we represent them as well. And so it's not just undergraduates. It's not this selective group of individuals that it's leading. It's really broadening it up, and it's the entire student population that we're here to represent. And so, as working with the cabinet, again, like I was talking about earlier, it's really being an undergraduate. The professionals have a very, very different lifestyle. They have different classes, and so they're being represented by their own government, but yet they have to be advisors to the CSU executive, to me as a president, so that I can take it and really initiate the goals that they see fit for this campus.
Thank you, Mr. Miskimmons. Mr. Anshin.
Well, I guess a specific example that I'd like to kind of speak to is the recycling project that we have on campus. And for the past 2 years, like I said earlier, I've been the chair of a Traditions and Development Committee. And on that committee, I've had law students, pharmacy students, as well as undergraduate students from the colleges of business and arts and sciences. So it's a pretty diverse group, and within that diversity, I think I've realized that each group has different things that they need. As far as some of the professional students, they're students who live off campus. And so the needs that they have as far as recycling go, they're different from someone who lives in Davis or in Swanson or Kiewit or whatever. And so a big part of that has been understanding what those differences are and how we can speak to each single one of those differences and what we can really do. So if that means handing out blue recycling bins to all of the students who live in a residence hall so that they can take it down and do the single stream recycling in their hall, then that's what it means. And for some of the students who live in Chris not in Chris, but they go to class in the Chris buildings or in some of the other professional school buildings, the big project for us has been how can we get recycling, single stream recycling in those buildings. And so I think you'll see by the end of the semester our goal is to have single stream recycling in those buildings. So I think it's kind of a work in progress, but that has been something that I've really worked with. So.
Thank you, Mr. Anshin.